What's up, VC? It's Steve again, Harmless Rebel, and it's time for another miscellaneous vinyl update. First off, in the background, Brian Setzer Orchestra, The Dirty Boogie. Big fan of the Stray Cats, and more specifically Brian Setzer. I've liked pretty much every iteration of his various bands. Just always been a fan of his. I go and check him out whenever he's here in town. Killer album. So let's just kind of jump into the vinyl. First up, I ran across this for almost nothing. I think I paid $6 or $7 for it. This is the Essential Jimi Hendrix Volume 2 in the Shrink. I see this all the time. I do have a copy of this. It's pretty trash. Like I said, though, this one's still in the Shrink. The vinyl's, near mint minus. Just a really nice find. These two comps, the Essential Jimi Hendrix Volume 1 and 2, are killer. I really dig them. It's got a lot of your common hits as well as some of the more obscure stuff he did. This one, on the more obscure side, it has his version of Wild Thing, Machine Gun, and the Star Spangled Banner. And then the rest of it are just his other hits, but still a killer album to have in your collection. Plus Jimi Hendrix. You can't go wrong with any Jimi Hendrix. Next up, this one, I was utterly amazed to find this for what I did, especially when I realized it was a first pressing. The Runaways. With, of course, Joan Jett, Lita Ford, Cherie Currie, Sandy West. I've never gotten everybody's infatuation with Cherie Currie. I thought that Sandy West, Lita, and Joan all looked better than she did, but everybody was fascinated with Cherie. But still an amazing album. If you've never heard this, you're really missing out on just some great music. But this thing usually goes for about $30 in this condition. So like I said, I was really shocked to find it for $6. Next up, this is one that I've been interested in since it came out. I just didn't want to buy it new for $25, so I waited until somebody sold it and I picked it up for $10. This is Sufjan Stevens, Carrie and Lowell. Sufjan Stevens, in his latest iteration, has gone the kind of the neo-folk route. If you're into like Father John Misty, if you're into Mark Kozlik, Red House Painters, Sun Kill Moon, you'll dig this. It's a good album. It's not as good as the last couple albums from Mark Kozlik, for example, though. There's 3 or 4 songs on here that I really dig, though. Next up, I picked up another album from Nectar. They've been popping up a lot lately. I don't like this as much as the first few albums, but there's still some really killer stuff on here. And this one is Down to Earth. Another one, I picked this up for I think $18 at a local thrift store. Or I'm sorry, not a thrift store, but a antique mall. One of the antique malls here has a really good vinyl store in there. It is a straight up vinyl store. They probably got about a 30,000 album selection in there. It takes up a huge corner of it. And the guy, every Sunday has new stuff, and it's always really killer stuff. But I found this in he's always got a new bin of unopened stuff, and I paid the $18 for this. MoFi pressing of Sisters of Mercy, Floodland. This is one I've been looking at since Mobile Fidelity mentioned that they said they were going to release it. I'm not a huge fan of Sisters of Mercy, but I do really like this album. I also have their first album. I have a promo copy of it, a white label promo. It just never hit me the way that Floodland does. Floodland has always been the best of their catalog, in my opinion. Now, the reason I got it for $18 sealed is I don't know if you can see it. It's got a little bit of a light crease right there. No damage to the record, other than that little crease. So, to save $6 or $7, I think it's like $25. I was happy with that. Another one that I found for really cheap that utterly amazed me, actually at the same place. I think I paid $6 for this. Obscured by Clouds from Pink Floyd. And this thing is near mint condition other than the hole punch right there. I really like this album. This usually gets ranked really low when people rank their albums. And this is from the movie The Valley. This was the soundtrack for it. I like this one a lot better than More. I like this better than Ummagumma. I just think it's a really good album. But again, Obscured by Clouds. And that and Metal are the two that I've had the hardest time finding. I don't have a copy of Metal yet either. I see it all the time, but they're either really trashed or they're just really expensive. I've seen a couple of nice copies in VG Plus condition, $40-50. It drives me crazy. But another one I found finally in good condition, Dire Straits. This is my favorite of their albums. This is their debut. Sultans of Swing has always been my favorite song of theirs, and I've been looking for this for quite a while. But every time you find it, it's got really nasty ring wear, or it's just really dirty. And I finally found a copy in really nice condition. Again, I think I paid like $5 for it. Next up, I'm not a huge fan of this guy. I know he's considered by a lot of people to be up there with Dylan. But I do like this particular album, and that's Neil Young. This is a second pressing of Harvest, and I grabbed it again. It was $5 or $6. It's in really good condition. Most of the Neil Young songs that I like are on this album. I've got a thing with Neil Young. His voice just eats at me. There's certain songs where I really like it, but a lot of the Neil Young stuff, his voice just drives me crazy. But songs like Heart of Gold and what's the other ones on here? Heart of Gold is a favorite of mine, and then Old Man I like. Needle and the Damage Done. Heart of Gold, blah blah blah. Harvest is good. So I mean, really good songs on here. But Old Man and Heart of Gold are probably my favorite Neil Young songs. Other than one or two, he had one or two songs on Mirrorball that I liked as well. So, this is not my favorite from this guy, but I got it for cheap, so I grabbed it. Recovery from Eminem. I don't listen to a lot of hip hop anymore like I used to, and most of the stuff that I listen to is more mid 80s to mid 90s, probably about 96 time frame. Eminem was just one of those that I've always dug, and I grab his stuff anytime I see it on vinyl. Again, I won't pay for any of it new. All that stuff is so ridiculous. $30, $35 new. So I usually get it used. Next up, The Doors, L.A. Woman. L.A. Woman is not one of my favorite Doors albums. There are some good songs on here. I mean, you've got L.A. Woman, the song, Riders in the Storm is actually one of my favorite songs. But, oh man. Killing it. I love that with the slack. Oh my god. Anyway, L.A. Woman. Just kind of filling in the collection with that one. I do like The Doors. Next up, David Gilmour, Rattle the Lock. I gotta say, I was really excited for this. I don't want to say I'm disappointed. I don't think it's great though. I see a lot of people showing it off, talking about how good it is. It's not my favorite release. It's cool that he's putting out new stuff, but it doesn't compare to his couple of release. What's the one with him walking to the house? I can't think of the name of it. I just think it's okay. It's good for a listen. I'll probably listen to it every once in a while, but I just wasn't really. It wasn't nearly what I thought it was going to be. I've always loved David Gilmour's guitar, and there wasn't even enough of his really good guitar playing in that album, in my opinion. These next two, again, I found them for cheap, and I couldn't pass them up. I think I paid $10 or $11 a piece. Mother's Milk, and this is the Simply Vinyl pressing. $11. It does have a scratch on it that has one skip in the song in their remake of Fire. But other than that, it sounds amazing. Is it Fire? I'm pretty sure it was a song Fire. But still, for 11 bucks, you know, and the Simply Vinyl stuff, man. If you run across any of the Simply Vinyl albums, they all sound amazing. It's just a beautiful sounding album. Other than that one spot where it skips, it sounds great. And then I also picked up the, I think this is the 2011 repress of Bloodsex Sugar Magic, again from the Chili Peppers. I'm not a huge Chili Peppers fan. These two albums are actually my favorite of the Chili Peppers. I do like, what's the one from a couple years ago? I like the one from the late 90s that was real popular. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, but all of their newer stuff I haven't been a fan of, and their real earlier stuff I'm not. Their real earlier Uplift Mojo, I don't remember the name of Uplift Mojo Experience or something like that. I'm not a fan of, and I didn't like their self-titled album. But these two are, like I said, are Mother's Milk and Bloodsex Sugar Magic is really where they were at it, where they were at their best, in my opinion. Now back to the Doors. I picked up a copy of Waiting for the Sun. This is one of my favorite of their albums. Again, I got this one for really cheap, $5 or $6. It's in really nice condition. Picked this one up in the shrink for again for about 15 bucks. I've been finding these right around the $15 range a lot lately, and I've just been snapping them up as I see them. I'm glad I didn't buy them new or buy the box like I had initially planned on doing. This one is Revolver. This is the stereo. So I've got, I think, 4, maybe 5 of the stereo reissues now. And speaking of box sets, now that the Queen box set has come out, I've been picking up some Queen albums for relatively cheap. I think I paid $8 is the most I paid for any of these, but picked up a real nice copy of Jazz. Jazz, I think, is an awesome album. It's got some definite favorites of mine, but they begin it with Mustafa, which is one of the most ridiculous songs I've ever heard, and the fact that they started the album with that song just completely blows my mind. They were just such a weird band. I love Queen. I loved Freddie Mercury. Amazing vocalists. They're amazing writers. But some of the stuff they did, and I was talking about this with, oh my goodness, who was it? I don't remember. I was talking about this with somebody, though. All of their songs have 1 or 2 completely ridiculous songs. Every album is really solid, full of great songs, but there's always 1 or 2 songs that you just get to and you're like, what were they thinking? And Mustafa is that one for me on Jazz. But I picked up Jazz, picked up A Night at the Opera. This one is kind of rough as far as ringwear goes, but the vinyl's really nice. Hopefully I get an upgrade of that later, though. But then the one that I was really happy to finally find in good condition was Live Killers. Such a good show. Queen were so good live. I've never heard or seen video of a Queen performance that wasn't just amazing. These guys just knew how to put on a show. And their shows, when you watch their shows with the lights and I mean, it's kind of like the Kiss shows. It's just all out there and in your face. It's really good, though. If you haven't heard Live Killers, definitely check that out. So this next one was kind of a, I don't want to say a blind buy. I had heard the band's name before, and I found this for like $4. It was still in the shrink, or I should say it was still sealed. So I went ahead and grabbed it, and pretty blown away by what it was and how good it was. This is Pretty Things, Parachute. Very bluesy, very hard rock. More so than I ever would have imagined. I've since listened to a couple of other songs from various Pretty Things albums and wasn't really feeling them. But something about this album, they just put it together, and really killer sound. Very hard blues rock sound, though, or even prog elements to it. Killer album, though. Definitely recommend checking this one out. And then we'll get to the last 3. Now, 2 of these I bought in one store, and the third I bought somewhere else. They're all CBS Master Sound half-speed masters. People give mixed reviews about these. I've heard people complain about these quite a bit. A lot of people say that they're not audiophile pressings. A lot of people say they are. A lot of people say that original pressings sounded better. I will say in the case of these three, that's not true, because I have original pressings of all three of these, and these pressings sound better than the originals in all three cases. So the first one, and this one I paid up for, this is probably the most prominent of all the half-speed masters. This is the one that everybody points at as the best of the best. And it looks kind of dirty here. It's not. It's the bag that it's in. Wish You Were Here from Pink Floyd. This thing sounds amazing. I have never heard this sound as good as this does. I have a first US pressing of this that sounds really nice. This thing blows it out of the water. It just kills it. I've heard the Japanese pressing of this. This sounds better than the Japanese pressing. I don't know if MoFi did a pressing of this one, but I would like to see a comparison of those two. But this one's pretty hard to find, and it goes for really good money. I got it for a little less than what it goes for, but not much. But definitely worth having. It's absolutely mint. It's still in the reason I left it in this dirty bag is because it's the original half-speed master bag. Same with that Simply Vinyl Red Hot Chili Peppers. Usually I put it in a clean bag, but because it's still the Simply Vinyl, I left it in there. The other two I picked up, again, I have original pressings of both of these, and the half-speed master blows it out of the water. The first one was An Innocent Man from Billy Joel. This is one of my favorite Billy Joel albums. I mean, it's just full of hits, beginning to end. Again, both of these are in mint condition. Again, I have a first US pressing of this. This blows it away. Killer album. I paid $5 for this. The next one is Billy Joel, Songs in the Attic. Again, half-speed pressing. Paid $5 for it. Mint condition. Sounds amazing. Blows the original out of the water. Now, what I haven't done yet is I actually have the I have the MoFi pressing of this as well. And what I might do, what I'm thinking about doing is doing a side-by-side comparison of this with the MoFi, just so everybody can hear. And actually, I may do the original compared to this, compared to the MoFi. But I think I'm going to do a video comparing these. But it sounds killer. It really does. So just based on those three, I'm really impressed with the CBS half-speed masters. I haven't heard any others to compare it to. I don't know if there's others out there that just don't sound that good. But I can tell you all three of those sound amazing. And it looks like that's it, VC. I will be doing another punk update relatively soon. I'm actually going to record it in a few minutes. I probably won't post it until tomorrow, though. But either way, have a great weekend, VC, and I'll talk to you soon.